Welcome back to the Workbench After Hours podcast. My name is Keith, and I'm your host. This is where we talk about the firearms community, shop talk, and everyday life experiences. Welcome back to another episode of the Workbench After Hours podcast. This is episode 15, and we have Chris and Hunter back with us today. If you guys watched the last episode, we had our buddy Joe join us, so there were 4 of us last time, so it's kind of cool having a new face and voice on the podcast. So we appreciate Joe from being on last week. And so this week we got a couple of topics that we want to talk about. The first is, obviously, what did we do in guns this week? And Chris actually has something that he did.
Yeah, I actually bought a Glock 19, the FDE color.
Yeah.
That I've been wanting like forever. Match my AR now. So
what made you, because you were between that and the PSA dagger, right?
Yeah.
What, other than me, what made you get the Glock?
Well, because it was FDE, all pretty much.
And let's clarify for the listeners, FDE is
flat dark earth. So it's the tan color. So that was pretty much it. The dagger, you could only get the slide in it, or you'd get in the black frame. So I really like FDE. That's one of my favorite colors for guns. I don't know why, but it is. So I went with that, and you all of a sudden ordered a Glock 19 full FDE when I was looking at the dagger, about to bite the bullet. And you're like, you still got to upgrade it, got to get a trigger. So by the time you're all done, you're really going to be spending the Glock money. So,
and look at this guy.
Yeah.
It just happens to be flat dark earth.
Yeah, and it's funny, like I didn't plan on selling you that gun. I bought it because I had a gun show that I actually did on Saturday in Topeka, and I needed some new inventory, and I saw that they had a flat dark earth Glock 19. I'm like, I bet you that would sell.
Yeah.
So I have a black one and had that for a while, but I'm like, maybe the flat dark earth one would, because I had some gray ones years ago, and they were pretty popular and sold. And then I told Chris I'm like, guess what I ordered? He's like, oh. I'm like, I know the PSA dagger doesn't come in flat dark earth fully, but guess what else does?
Yeah, Glock 19 that I just magically ordered.
So I'm glad that you made that choice.
Yeah, I'm already looking at upgrades for it because I really want night sights because I have it on my FNs, and you just get accustomed to them anymore, and I just like them good because this is also going to be my normal concealed carry gun. So I want night sights because if I'm going to carry it day and night, I might as well have the night sights and be able to see at night.
Exactly.
Then I've been looking at trigger upgrades already. It's a never-ending cycle with these guns.
Yeah.
Thanks, Keith.
Yeah. You guys are welcome.
Yeah.
And then your brother came over a few days later.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I'm going to order the PSA, the regular one for $299. And at the gun show, I overheard you convincing him, basically repeating verbatim what I told you on why you should go with the Glock over the PSA. And guess what? He texted me and was like, when can I come pick up the Glock 19?
Yeah. You're welcome.
I'm like, good choice. Good choice. So he got the black one. You got the flat dark earth one. Both Gen 3, which I like the Gen 3 and Gen 4 is better over the Gen 5.
I like the finger grooves, so that's kind of why when you showed it was Gen 3, I was like, that was definitely, okay, I'm getting it. I don't care.
When Keith told me about that, I'm not sure if I just misunderstood or he didn't give me all the details, but when he was explaining it, it sounded like he sold it to you, then you flipped around, resold it to your brother, and gave him all the reasons verbatim that Keith had given you, but it was that same flat dark earth one. But
gotcha. Yep. Nope. I had 2 19s and sold them both.
That old Nate the Great got a 19 then.
So I've basically armed your whole family.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sold one to you, sold one to your brother Nathan, sold an AR, was it a Saint?
A Saint
to your dad.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
heck yeah.
Boomstick. Supplying your family with guns.
Well, yeah, everybody should have guns, right?
Yep.
So anything else in guns that you did this week, or is that?
That's been pretty much it. I just bought that. I was at the gun show with you, and I've just been looking for upgrades already.
Yeah, the gun show was surprisingly slow.
Yeah, that, and I was really looking for a holster, and I would have thought at a gun show you could get a decent holster, and they had none.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's surprising because usually at that Topeka gun show, I sell a decent amount of guns. I sold one.
Yeah.
I'm like, this kind of isn't even worth it. I sold a bunch of like smaller stuff, but as far as gun wise, I sold a Taurus G3C.
Yeah, and it was just a random sale too.
Yeah,
like he didn't even want to come up. He's like, I'm buying that, and that was it. It's like, whoa.
Well, he had come up earlier when you were somewhere else, and he came by with his wife, and they were looking at it. He's like, "This is one I want," and he told her, "He's like, remember, I think I had it for $2.99." He's like, "Remember that." And then he came back later when you were back there, and just was like, "Yep, I want this." I'm like, "Sold." Thank God, I needed to sell something.
Yeah, everyone kept looking at that tactical Remington though. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is so cool."
Yeah, the Remington Tac 14. That's basically a short barrel rifle, but it's the one that it's not a pistol grip, but it's
pretty much
they call it like a Raptor grip or something like that. So it's not a shotgun, it's an other firearm. And what sucks about that is you have to be 21 to buy those since it's not classified as an actual shotgun.
Yeah, it was. Everyone touched it and looked at it. I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." And then, why don't you buy it then?
Yeah, I know. But
is that the one that just has like the? I gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, those were.
You'll have to post a picture so they can see what.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll roll some B-roll in there of what that is, and they were popular when they first came out. Mossberg has their version, which is the Shockwave.
Yeah.
I think Mossberg might have come out with theirs first. I can't remember, but they were popular when they came out a few years ago, and then COVID happened, and you couldn't find them anywhere. But now that you can find them in stock now, but they're higher than they should be. It used to be able to find them in the 300s.
Yeah.
I think now they're in like the 4s. I've seen a couple gun show tables selling them for like $6. I'm like, at that point, it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Like that's not worth $600.
That's one thing I like doing at the gun show. I'll just go walk off and see like what you have your prices at and seeing what theirs are, and I'm like, and then people still buy from these other ones. Like, man, they just must overlook the table or something.
I know. What sucks is like, I'm not by a lot of the gun stuff. There's like a couple other gun dealers by me, but they kind of put me by all the other BS stuff that's not really firearms, and it drives me nuts because people are like, after they buy their gun, they come over and like, crap, it's lower over
it's
here.
Like $30-$40 cheaper over here.
Why do you get put over there?
I don't know how they assign it.
Volume.
I know the guys. There's a certain set of guys that have large booths of like, multiple tables, and they usually get in a set spot. And I think probably because I order my tables like a week or two in advance, so I know I can make it. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. But
like it's a first come first serve. Real estate type of thing.
But the guy that was next to us from Midwest
AR-15,
something like that. Yeah, him and I are usually pretty close.
Yeah.
Set up next to each other, which helps.
Yeah.
Because he sells guns too. So, but yeah, it was weird. That was the first one I've only sold one gun at.
Yeah.
I
thought for sure you're going to sell at least 3 of them because what everyone was touching and looking at, I was like, this should be good. And then no one bought anything. I was like, what?
I know. It sucks. I used to have 3 tables full of stuff.
Yeah.
And when we had the Overland Park gun show, I mean, it was always busy. Like I had to have you, my cousin, and Marie helping me out at the same time because I couldn't keep track of everything. And now it's like I have 2 tables and it's super slow.
Yep.
I hate it. But I think everybody panic bought, and now they have what they needed.
Yeah.
Everybody's just kind of looking for ammo at this point. And because I used to sell the crap out of strip lowers.
Yeah.
Like used to sell like tons of them at the gun shows, and now I didn't sell one at this gun show. I haven't sold.
You were close, but the kid was 18, I think.
Yeah, you got to be
21.
Since it's
such a stupid rule.
Since it's a stripped lower and not an actual built firearm, it's not considered a rifle at that point. So kind of like that Remington Tac 14, you have to be 21 to buy that until you build it into a rifle. So that's
stupid.
I know.
hate that rule, but
and the ones that are closer to the Missouri side but are still in Kansas, you get a lot of people from Missouri coming over wanting to buy pistols, which is awesome, but I can't sell them because I'm only licensed in Kansas. So, but yeah, I'm hoping. I was wishing they were doing Overland Park one this year, but it's not on the schedule. For it, and I know Hunter likes going to checking those out. But because Topeka's about an hour door to door from here, so it's not close.
No,
but
it's close enough.
Yeah. So what'd you do in guns this week?
Nothing, but at the last gun show I went and hung out with you at, I don't know if you remember this, Chris, there was that raffle for that like miniature, It was a gas powered, like a little motorcycle thing.
Yeah.
From a water company. I can't remember the name. And I guess I was the runner up drawing. So they called me today and they're like, we've either got 3 days, 2 night hotel or a smartwatch. I didn't ask which one because I wasn't interested, but a smartwatch that's compatible with Apple and Android, or a Bluetooth speaker. Which one do you want? And then, so I was like, well, going on a trip would be nice. Mm-hmm. So I chose the hotel, but I was in the car. I was like pulling up to pick up Keith. Story we'll tell here in a second. But pulling to pick up Keith, and so I was just trying to get off the phone quick. And the next thing I know, it's like, well, we have to hand deliver it for you, and we also are going to give you a free water test because they're trying to sell. So now I'm like, well,
hey, your phone's telling us that there's rain expected tomorrow.
I turned it all. I promise, I turned it on. Do not disturb. But
yeah, they had someone come out and do like a water test at my place. And with me working in wastewater treatment, I was just like, yeah, that's not the way you're supposed to test that. That's the wrong way. And it just drove me insane. I was like, I understand what you're trying to do, but thanks, but no thanks.
So, So anyways, now I have to decide before tomorrow at 5:30 if I want to have them come out and try and hard sell me on a water purifier and softener, or because who knows, it might be to like a Ramada Inn or some shit, you know.
It's going to be like a timeshare. They get you in there and you have to go do a timeshare thing. You're like,
well, that's the first thing she said when she was describing it was, it's not a timeshare. It's nothing like that. And it's absolutely free. And I was like, oh, okay.
Probably like a Holiday Inn or something that you can use.
Yeah.
It'll probably give you certain dates or certain locations.
Yeah, you had to book it within 30 days, and it couldn't be within the radius of, she said, like from here to Branson, Missouri, but a radius around Kansas City of that.
So like a mini getaway, pretty much.
Oh, so it has to be in Kansas City?
No. It has to be outside of that.
Well, yeah. That's, I mean, you don't want to have, why would you stay at a hotel in Kansas City?
No, I just thought it was weird because she used Branson as like a linear distance, and then it was like, you know, take the circumference of that. You can't do it within here. So I immediately started thinking in my head, is Denver? I was like, oh, all right, well, I'm good in Denver then. Yeah. So
you going to Denver?
Oh, it'd be nice to go see Eric and
Maha
nice.
Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, so funny story.
Yeah.
So I recently put in my 2 weeks at my current job and starting a new job, basically doing the same thing with another company. And I have a Dodge Caravan as my work van. And I have 1 week left. I'm supposed to turn my van in on basically Thursday morning of next week. Took my van out today to run some errands. Max needed some dog food. So I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm going to go to the pet store before it gets busy because I hate going to the pet store right after work because everybody else has that same idea. So I'm driving there and I'm listening to a podcast with my earbuds in. But I noticed like the van sounds louder for some reason. I'm like, I don't know. It was kind of more like a humming noise almost coming from like in front of me. It was weird. And so I thought nothing of it. I'm like, whatever. So as I was leaving PetSmart, and I just happened to go to the furthest away PetSmart, just because I like that one better. And I was pulling out, it was making that noise really loud. And then like as I was getting on the highway, I was pressing the gas pedal. The engine was revving, like redlining, and I was going nowhere. Like I was not accelerating at all. I'm like, oh my God. So at this point, I'm on the on-ramp, can't go anywhere. So I'm like, shit. So I'm like, at this point, it's got to be transmission. So luckily, the next exit was like a quarter mile down the road. So I got as far over as I could. I think I was going like 50 miles an hour on this on-ramp. And luckily had a quick exit off to 135th. And when I get there, I'm like, again, pressing the gas. It kind of went forward a little bit. And so then I pulled into like a waterway parking lot and put it in park. And then I tried to put it in reverse. Didn't want to do that. And then the transmission light came on. I'm like, well, shit, there it is. And then at that point, it wouldn't get in gear, and I was stuck there. Like I was messing with it, turn it off, turn it on, nothing. So had to call a tow truck and get that thing towed away. So I don't know if that's a sign that, you know, maybe it was time for me to leave or what. But I just know a week before I was supposed to turn my vehicle in, transmission decided to screw up on me.
Quit at the right time, I guess.
Yeah, well, it sucks because I still have some inspections I have to do on Friday and Monday. And I'm glad it didn't happen on those days because, my inspections are not always in the nice part of town. So if I would have broken down in like downtown Kansas City, or some of the areas, I would have been mad.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with rescheduling those appointments and everything. So luckily, today and tomorrow, I don't have any appointments. I'm like, well, goodbye, van. So Hunter, I called Chris first. He had his kid with him. I'm like, he was just getting home. I'm like, he lives out in BFE. So I'm like, well, don't worry, I'll find another ride. So I called Hunter, and he just happened to get home. And I'm like, man, can you please come pick me up? Because I had a bunch of equipment in my van that I need for Friday. And so the truck driver wouldn't have enough room in his tow truck for it all. So luckily, Hunter was kind enough to come rescue me off the side of the road. And
come pick him up. And then poor Keith had to hop right back. It was about 20 minutes away from the house. He had to hop right back in his actual truck he owns, drive back there, give him the keys. And
yeah. Well, because they were like, when I called roadside assistance, they're like, we're finding a local tow company to come get you. It could be up to 2 hours. I'm like, well, I don't want to be sitting here for 2 hours. So called it in. They're like, we're still finding it. We're still, trying to dispatch it. So I'm like, well, let's go home. We'll drop this stuff off. And then it's supposed to send you a text message when the tow truck's on the way. It did. So I'm like, crap, got to hurry up and get back home. And as soon as I got home, turned around, went back up there, and he had already had the van up on the tow truck and was just waiting for me to get the key. Like, well, and it's funny, the roadside assistance, because I work for an insurance company, and they're like, where do you want it sent? Because it's a fleet vehicle. I'm like, well, I would assume you would want me to send it to the dealership, right? Because this is under a lease. It's not, my vehicle or anything. And she's like, okay. I'm like, here's the closest Dodge dealership. And I called Dodge, and they're like, I'm like, hey, just a heads up, you're going to be getting this van in. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll look at it tomorrow. And I'm like, do you need any information on it? What's wrong with it? And he's like, no, we'll look at the VIN number. We'll be able to pull up the lease plan stuff. And I'm like, okay. Didn't even ask, like, what's going on or anything. I'm like, well.
They're going to be real surprised when they go out there and try starting it and getting it inside their shop.
Well, yeah, I have a feeling that them seeing that it's being towed, they know it's mechanically not working. But once you turn the key on, that transmission light's going to turn on. So there you go.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's something wrong with the transmission. That's a $150 diagnostic fee.
Yeah. Would you like us to proceed now?
Yeah. So that was what was supposed to be a quick trip on my work break because I wanted to do that. And then it turned, I knew I should not have chosen that freaking furthest away PetSmart.
I asked him about that. I was like, why were you so far away from home? He's like, well, the other one, sometimes they run out of the dog food that I get for Max. And also there's long lines there. So I like to go to this other one. I'm like, I know, but the time you take to travel all this way out there.
And what sucks is the dealership is less than a mile from that. It's like probably half a mile from the other PetSmart. So I could have just probably coasted over there.
Yeah, if that. I mean, it's like, right there.
Like the one time I picked to go to the furthest one away. And I actually got the last bag of dog food. So at least I got lucky there. Max, you're welcome. You can eat. Yeah. So that was
might just have to start ordering that online so you don't have to worry about it.
I always forget. And then by the time I'm like, oh,
then
wait.
It's too late.
Yeah. And then I hate it when you're going all over the city trying to find, because he uses a certain brand, and for his breed, he's got to have a certain kind. So apparently it's a popular brand, and it goes out of stock a lot. And it just so happens to go out of stock all the time when I need it.
Yeah, Asher's got a specific dog food we use, and there's two places that carry it that are relatively close to us. The one that's closer by about half the distance, every time I'm in there, they never have it. I swear we're getting in stock, never have it. So I always have to drive to the one that's pretty much similar area to where the closer PetSmart is for us. But
yeah, it's annoying.
It's just how it goes, I guess.
And it's expensive enough to where I don't want to buy 2 bags at once. It's like not on sale. It's like $90.
Jeez.
Yeah, it is, because we give him the Royal Canine.
Yeah, and the bag's not that big.
No,
and for how big a boy he is, he probably just goes through it. Yeah,
he gets like two bigger cups of food a day. I feed them twice a day, and in the morning they're ready for breakfast as soon as I get up. Like if we move and it's a little bit light out, they're like, oh yeah, well, it's time to get up. and then we feed them close to 7 at night, but 6:15, 6:30 rolls around. They're like, all right,
when's it coming?
We're ready.
When's it coming?
We're ready. And they'll like run around, and then like I'll be sitting on the couch, and you can tell she goes by the food bowl and then comes back and then just sits in the hallway and just stares at me like, what's up, dude? You're like, come on.
Are you going to feed me yet? Come on.
And then they'll both just sit there and stare at me. And if I move like any movement, then they like rush over there and it's like, oh yeah. I'm like, guys, chill out.
Yep.
God forbid one of them, because we only have the one dog, Asher. So we leave his food out in a bowl, all day. God forbid one of them gets in the house. They know exactly where it is. They beeline it, and before you can catch them, like Hazel one time, I swear I saw a lump going down her throat because she had got so much in it at once. But Max takes him like 2 tongue laps, and he's got the whole thing down.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you can hear them, but they're right outside my office door here. I think I could hear Max or somebody whining. I gave them some treats.
Probably Max. He probably finished his first, and now he's crying because he wants hers.
Yeah, he won't. He'll try and take things from her, but then she like takes no crap from Max. Like she's like, I don't care if you're 4 times my size, you're not getting my treat.
Yeah,
they'll go, and he'll sit there and he wants that treat because she has it, but she'll be chewing on it, and he'll sit there and cry and just whine like
a little baby.
Like it gets pretty loud, and he just won't. I'm like, Max, either take it or go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And nope. But if he does take it, man, she goes right back after it. Like she'll get his neck and his legs and like, come on, man.
One time I saw he was crying really loud, and I was like looking for his to give it back to him. I couldn't find it. She was laying on top of his and eating hers in front of him. Like, what's up, motherfucker?
Yeah.
And he was like just losing his mind over there.
They can be assholes to each other when it comes to treats and toys.
Mm-hmm.
But that's any dog.
I know my dogs, if they're like eating close and one finishes the other one and starts even looking at the other food, the other one just starts growling like, come try to take it. We're gonna go rounds.
Yep.
And I've actually had to break him up a couple of times from it, and I'm just like, he just ate. That's his food. And I have to separate him. I'm like, man, you are worse than kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dogs.
So Chris, we got some pretty terrible news today.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to break to my oldest son, actually, because that's his favorite player.
Oh.
And I had to tell him, like, hey, you can still root for him, even though he plays for another team now. But he was, like, heartbroken, crying, and I was like, man.
A team that will only play at noon, and you'll have no interest in watching ever.
Yeah. And I was like.
Who's their quarterback?
Tua.
Which is going to be weird, I think, for him, because he's left-handed, isn't he?
I don't know, but I don't think he's got the deep ball. So,
well, that and like, I don't know. He's left-handed.
So we're talking about Tyreek Hill. If you're not from Kansas City, Chiefs traded Tyreek to
Miami
today for 5 draft picks, 29 and 50 in the first round, and then a 6th-round draft pick in the first round, and then next year a 4th round and a 6th round pick.
Yeah.
And so Tyreek, for people who don't watch football, but he was our number 1 wide receiver option, and he's probably the fastest guy in the National Football League. And that's been one of Mahomes' big crutches that he's leaned on in his young career. And so it'll be interesting to see without having that guy who's just – because Mahomes, if he wants to, flick the wrist and throw it 50 yards. So not having that weapon where Tyreek somehow gets on a one-on-one matchup and is just, gassing the guy full speed down the field without that crutch, it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of elevate the talent around him and make other players great, or if that really was, part of why he was so
successful.
So good, yeah.
I don't know. I think it was a mistake, to be honest, because he is a generational talent that no one can emulate. Yeah, emulate. But I don't know. I'm just mad about it still, upset. I'm hoping because I've heard rumors that they're trying to use maybe some of these draft capital to get DK Metcalf.
But that's the thing. We're going to be paying at least 20 for what they paid for Devontae or the trade for Devontae Adams, so now he's making 28.5.
Yeah.
DK's easily going to want that as well, because the wide receiver market's blowing up so fast. So with losing Tyreek, that frees up so much cap space.
Yeah, I saw that we're like number 1 now with cap space.
And so, hell, Tyrann Mathieu hasn't officially signed anywhere. What if we brought him back and now we have this new guy? I can't remember his name.
We got Reed and Bush, actually. We signed another safety today, Bush from the Bears.
Okay.
But they also signed Reed from the Texans and gave him kind of a good deal.
Right.
But I've also heard that Matthew's also been looked at by the Saints and Broncos, and I don't want him going to the Broncos.
Whoa, man, would that suck?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the AFC West is going to be tough this year.
Yeah.
Because you have Russell Wilson going to Denver.
Yeah.
And, Oakland's been, getting pretty tough the last couple of years. And then we have the
Chargers now.
Chargers, yep.
With
Khalil Mack and Bosa.
Yeah, and then
Herbert.
Herbert's been
pretty decent.
He was amazing last year, actually. Yeah.
So our division is going to be pretty tough this year.
It's like a 4-headed monster.
Especially if we're not going to have Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill together.
That's what's annoying is because can you even say we're the best team in the AFC West anymore without Tyreek? Because
we just had Juju, and I was like, man, this is going to be a good year because we actually have a good number 2 receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as of now Juju's moved up to number 1, and he got injured.
Yeah, he got
game
injured.
like 2.
Yep, but they tried doing that with Pittsburgh, and he's more of a 2. He's a slot receiver, so
yeah,
I don't see it. They're gonna have to either draft someone that's up there and can take a number 1 and be a number 1, or
this might be the year we just have to take our medicine and win 10 games and lose in the first round of the playoffs, but maybe be able to take all these additional draft picks, maybe move up in the draft, get a receiver we're looking for, or
defensive end.
Play it out.
Well, what sucks is, we've won the Super Bowl, been back, and now we almost made it to the Super Bowl again. So as soon as the Chiefs start, even if they lose like 1 or 2 games, everybody's like, "Oh my God, Chiefs suck! Chiefs sucks. We're gonna suck this year." It's like, guys, you know how hard it is to get to the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah,
and
it is so hard.
Would we win 6 straight AFC champions? No,
yeah.
6.
A lot.
I think we were 6 straight for the AFC West.
Right.
Yeah,
and then 4 straight AFC.
Yeah.
Well, 3 straight AFC championships.
Yeah.
It's like we were bad for so long that everybody got used to us not being good. But now, ever since we've had Patrick Mahomes as a starter, they expect them to win every game. And it's like, it's not possible to win every game.
Yeah. The only other thing I was thinking about is like, since we did get rid of Tyreek, so now they're not going to play 2 safety deep. So we could play a lot of that underneath and maybe still get covered 1 safety in the back. And maybe we can use that to our advantage. But I find it really hard without having Tyreek back there because no one can catch him and he can blow a defense up real quick.
Yeah, they still have to worry about Kelsey over the middle, though. So maybe they start, double teaming the shit out of him, and then that opens up the receivers to get a little more one-on-one and be a little more wide open.
Unfortunately, Kelsey's becoming the old man on the team now.
Yeah, at age 29, 28? How old is he?
I think he's in his 30s now.
Is he?
I think so.
I think lower 30s.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Let me take a look.
But, yeah, it's going to be hard to replace him. It's going to be interesting for sure.
But that's football for you.
Yep. I told Mason, I was like, at least now I can get you Hill stuff on sale cheap. I mean, that's the only good thing.
And that's why I've stopped buying jerseys or shirts with players' names on it, because it's like as soon as you buy a shirt with somebody's name on it, they get traded, and then you look like an idiot wearing it.
Yeah.
All right. No. Really quick, he's 32 years old, and then back to your point, it's like that guy who I can't remember how much he spent, like maybe $600,000 or something.
Oh yeah, Brady's
on
ball.
That Brady, yeah,
like $500,000
for the retirement, and then
he comes out of retirement.
The next day he came out of retirement.
Yeah,
that is hilarious.
I'd be like, Brady, you owe me.
Come on, Brady.
You owe me the next retirement ball.
Also, Brady was already being pretty on the edge, on the fence about whether or not he was like officially retired or not. So why on earth would you go ahead and pull the trigger on that if there was a chance he was coming back anyways?
I know you guys hate this, but I'm glad he's coming back. I'm a Brady fan.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why everybody hates him.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because all the times he's beating the Chiefs. And...
Well, yeah, obviously I'd rather the Chiefs win, but
one time he mouth kissed his teenage son for a while. That was a little weird.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't know. There's always reasons to hate people who are the best at their craft, but
I'm sure people outside of the Chiefs probably hate Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my god!
Oh, I bet.
If you listen to any sports talk, on any of the ESPN or FS1 or whatever, there's like maybe one guy that's like pretty gung ho about the Chiefs, but everybody else is like, "Oh, Mahomes, he tries to get too fancy. He needs to get back to the bait. Just whatever they can to try and bring him down." It's like if a guy can complete a left-handed pass to get the first down, that's truly amazing. He doesn't need to get back to the basics. Are you kidding me?
He was never at the basics.
Right.
The young quarterbacks now are not doing basic stuff. They're like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He's like I think he ran the last time we played them last year. He ran more than So all these new young quarterbacks are doing more running and doing all these crazy passes because you have to now.
Yeah.
The days of doing the quarterback staying in a pocket, just throwing, not doing too much, kind of going away now, especially since all the old guys are retiring.
Yeah, it's just changing. The game's always changing, and they're adjusting to it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I mean, the fact that if you sneeze on the quarterback, that's a personal foul. And
that is if your name is Brady.
Well, yeah, he's too pretty. He can't have any scuffs on him or anything.
I mean, that's the ultimate. But just in general, these quarterbacks are so well protected now that they can take the risk and kind of take off or float around in the pocket before, if you left the pocket and you weren't standing there with literally your shield wall in front of you, someone's coming for your knee, and that's your season right there.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that, protecting the quarterbacks, because there's nothing worse than your main quarterback going out, and then that basically ruins your season.
It's the end of the season,
or if you're playing fantasy football, that screws you too. So I get it. I mean, you want to keep the quarterback healthy.
I'm a fan of it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I do wish I was old enough to back in the day watch when the people were just absolutely lighting each other up. But it makes it more fun when your star quarterback, who is maybe top 5 quarterback in the league, doesn't get taken out in the third game because someone spearheaded his knee or whatever.
Yep.
Or just took his head off when he's going down for a slide or whatever.
Yep. But we'll see what happens. There's still more trading and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think Beach is done.
No,
he's
not at
usually
all.
making big splashes.
Yeah.
I just was shocked on how fast this progressed today, because Kat's dad called me. He's like, "Have you heard? Have you been listening to the radio?" I was like, "No." They're talking about trading Tyreek. I was like, "They're not going to do it. There's no way." And an hour later, he was traded. I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, I was driving into work at I left at 11 o'clock, and at 11, right when I hopped in the car, they're like, about 10 minutes ago, we got word that there's been a request for a trade for Tyreek, and they're considering it. And about 5 minutes later, they're like, okay, so he's apparently already narrowed it down to the Jets in Miami. And then it takes me 15 minutes to get to work. As I was pulling up, about to hop out of the car, they're like, all right, he's chosen Miami, and the trade's done. It's like, all that information came within a really like a 20-minute window, but that's absolutely insane how fast it happened.
Yeah.
They were thinking it was going to be 48 hours, then it was supposed to be the afternoon, and then next thing you know, it's
done.
Yeah, just absolutely done.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Freaking A. We forgot to mention, so we are actually drinking whiskey this week is Gentleman Jack. So it's one I had opened.
We've drank it on the show before.
Yep. But we didn't have. I forgot to grab something different.
And I was actually planning on going and picking something up, but when the host of the podcast,
my car breaks down,
needs your help, you got to even shoot the podcast. You got to make sure you can get home.
Yep. So I see right here, Gentleman Jack. Which this stuff is. I really like this stuff on. If I'm editing a video or a podcast or anything, I'll sit there and sip on this stuff.
That's your go-to sipper.
Yeah. It used to be Jim Beam, like single barrel, or not single barrel, but
Devil's Cut
and stuff like that, which is still good. Yeah. But I've just been stuck on this Gentleman Jack.
I'll tell you what, the whiskey we drank last week,
Woodruff Reserve.
Woodford. That was out of all the whiskeys that because some of them taste better than others. Like I think the Blanton's was my favorite tasting. But when we're sitting here talking, you're not like thinking about the flavor every time you take a drink. Yeah. And this Gentleman Jack's really smooth too. It kind of has the same effect. But as you're sitting here talking, you can keep taking sips, and there's never a bite, and it's enjoyable to do while you're having a conversation. It's not in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I tried to light up the whiskey
row up there.
Yeah. It doesn't line up. I'm pointing at it, but it's not looking like I'm pointing at it. But yeah, try to get that. And then actually you can't see it because I'm blocking the view, but we have a glow bar back there with some whiskey in it too. I think there's an empty or a full unopened bottle of Jim Beam Black, I think, or Devil's Cut, one of the two. I keep forgetting about it. But
I'm going to try and get us some Wellers to try, which I talked about a little bit last time. It's just Pappy that doesn't have the labels. Yeah, the label slapped on it. Same.
Yep.
Literally same barrel, same distillery, just doesn't have Pappy on it.
And this is another weird podcast because Chris is wearing a normal colored shirt.
Oh, man.
I just realized that looking at the screen. He's got a dark shirt on.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I said to him. I was like, look who's modestly dressed today.
Right. Man, you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
It's probably because I got him a red cable to go with the red on his headphones there.
Red on, so.
Yeah. I'm like, I like red.
Start representing the Jayhawks for a little bit for the tournament. So.
There you go. See, we got red and blue cables.
Yep.
Perfect.
Rock chalk.
Yeah, they play on Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
They
play Providence.
Yep. They have 4 seed, right?
Number 1. Oh, Providence is, yeah.
Yeah.
Jayhawks are a 1 seed.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah, my bracket got screwed up pretty quick, so.
I think everybody's did. I didn't do it this year, but I haven't been following.
Yeah. This is like the first year I haven't watched hardly any games. Like, usually I watch every game.
Well, we don't have cable, and the games that are on network TV are games I don't care about.
Yeah.
And I'd love to watch the Jayhawks games, but they're so hard to find and get. Uh-oh. What's he doing?
Bathroom break.
Oh, boy.
When nature calls.
Man, this is the second podcast that he's had, because the last podcast he had to get up and...
That was...
Yeah, you got up last podcast.
Yeah.
No, that was you.
No, I didn't go for this.
No, you got up.
Yeah, you got up and got us some ice.
Yeah.
I had easier exit with that.
Yep.
Bye. All right, so it's just Chris and I again. All right, but yeah. So one thing that we wanted to talk about, and because as a dealer, I get asked this a lot, but I'm sure just because you're into guns, and if you talk to other people about guns, this probably comes up too, all the time. Is you get people asking you, what gun should I buy?
Yeah,
and it's a loaded question. There's not one answer for anybody. There's a lot of variables that come into play when you ask that question. And it's like, I get that a lot from people that want to buy their first gun.
Yep.
Like, well, what should I get? Okay, we got to think about, what do you want it for? Like, what are you primarily going to be using this gun for? What's your budget? That's another big one.
Yeah.
And, do you plan on getting any more in the future, or is this kind of where we're at? Yeah, and it's like, so are you getting it for
concealed carry, or you're
going to carry
defense,
it?
What?
Yeah, there's a huge difference, because if you're going to conceal carry it, well, okay, that narrows it down to something that's got to be smaller to carry. Yeah. Whereas if you're just looking for something to just have in your house, maybe by your nightstand or in a closet for home defense, okay, you can go bigger. That kind of opens up a variety of things, and especially if you don't have a budget, then whatever. But if you're like with your brother, when he was on a budget for that dagger, it's like, man, just save up a little bit more and we'll get you the Glock 19. So,
or just do what Key says. You're gonna waste money anyways on it and spend more money. Just might as well get the Glock.
Yeah. So like with Hunter, when he found out, after he found out I was a dealer, and he was wanting to buy a gun.
Well,
I'm like, well, what do you want? Or what are you going to use it for?
I was looking for 2 different types of dealers. Luckily, you fit both bills. But yeah,
Yeah. But are the dogs okay out there?
yeah, they're fine.
Okay.
They were just chewing on there.
Gotcha. But yeah, so
Found out you're a dealer, and
yeah, we're talking about like when somebody asks you what gun should I buy, it's such a loaded question, and there's all she must have his treat, or he wants the one that she has. So I don't know if this will pick up on the mics or not, but Max is whining, doing that crying thing. But like with Hunter, when he's like, well, I don't know what gun to buy, what would you recommend? I'm like, well, what do you want it for? And you were at that point weren't planning on carrying it on your person or anything like that.
Home
you
defense.
wanted something home defense, and you knew you wanted a pistol because you already had a shotgun.
Yep.
At that point,
I know I wanted 9mm.
Yep. So with that, if you're not planning on carrying it and you want to be able to, have it for home defense and then also take it target shooting and have a decent time with it, then that kind of broaden your options there because you can get a bigger gun.
Get a full size pistol. And then 2, ask somebody you trust, like Keith sells them. He does it for a living. And just, he had nothing bad to say about him. I don't know anything about guns. So I went and held a few. I went to a couple different sporting stores and held them in my hand just to see what different things felt like. But I trusted Keith, and I don't regret it now.
Yep. But it's not just what gun should I buy. There's a lot of things to take into consideration when you are answering that for somebody. It's like, okay, again, what's your primary use going to be? What's your budget? I like to have what I call the trifecta: pistol, shotgun, and rifle.
Yep.
You got to have at least one of those. And then once you have one shotgun, one rifle, one pistol, then start buying other stuff.
Yeah.
But that way you have, your pistol, if you want to carry it, you can, or, for home defense, you can use all 3 in a different scenario. Shotgun, I like to tell people, get a shotgun, but there's a difference between a home defense shotgun setup and one if you want to take it hunting or trap shooting. The barrel, you don't want to use a 28-inch barrel for home defense. You want more of a 18.5-inch barrel. But the one I actually sold to Hunter is a combo. So it came with that 18.5-inch with the breacher barrel, which is really cool. But if you want to take it out, say trap shooting or hunting, it came with a 26-inch barrel, I think, and then you just swap out the barrels.
Which takes legitimately less than a minute.
Yeah, so that's cool, and then a rifle, I always recommend an AR because one, it's America's most popular rifle. You can do so many things with it, and it's a cool gun to learn on because you can always change it to however you want it to fit you.
Yep.
And basically it's never-ending options of stuff that you can do with that gun. It is loud, but the ammo is relatively cheap for target shooting, and there's really no kick.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go out and buy a bigger caliber rifle, like especially for hunting, and you don't really plan on hunting, just taking that to the range and shooting is not very fun because the ammo is more expensive, and that thing's gonna kick and not be as.
You'll be paying for it the next day.
Yeah, the ARs are just such an easy platform. You can use it for hunting, use it for target shooting, whatever, home defense.
Yeah, and I also think the ARs, you can build them, and you can really, if you want to go on a cheap route, you can really get them and build them cheap, and they're still work, but and then later down the road, if you want to upgrade, you can. There's just
and they're one of the few firearms that you can actually just buy the strip lower that you need to go through the dealer with, and then if you're on a tight budget and just can buy a part here and there. Yeah. You can do that, and then once you have everything, then you assemble it, or you assemble it as you get the parts. It's not something that, I want to have this, $1,000 AR-15, but I only have, a few $100s right now. Well, just start buying what you can, collect it, and then once you have all the parts, put it together. It's not something you have to, go out and spend $1,000 right away on.
Yeah, that's the route I ended up going with. I really wanted an AR. And I just bought the lower first. I think you were there with me when we went searching. Because we went to KCI first. And they're like, we can't do it. And I didn't know any better back then. And we found one out in Eudora. We went there and I bought it. And I bought like a lower parts kit with it. And then every 2-3 weeks, whenever I got paid, I'd buy another part. And it would just go like that for like a couple of months and buy 6 months, I had all the parts, could put it together and do what I want with it. So,
yep. And there's people that, you know, once they get into guns, you know, like me, you get into guns. Like you want to start buying up guns. But it's like, I've learned that after buying in quantity, I have found that quality over quantity is better.
Yeah.
In the long run. Especially like you can have a bunch of cheap guns. Yeah, that's cool. Well, guess what? You can only take so many guns to the range and shoot so many anyway. So if you can afford it, save up, buy a quality firearm that is going to last you and not break or anything like that, and that you're going to enjoy, versus all these cheap ones that, you know,
might have issues
and you're stuck with, you know, 10 cheap guns, whereas, you know, you could have, you know, maybe just a couple expensive quality guns that are going to be really reliable and you're going to enjoy.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned that the hard way, but you know, you get some people that get into it and they just go out and buy as many guns as they can, and they're like, you know, well, I found this gun, it was $200. It's like, okay, cool, but that's not a quality gun. Like somebody goes and finds like a High Point. It's like, that's just a big paperweight.
Like disassemble that for me and clean it for me.
Yeah. So it's if you're looking, especially if you're looking to buy your first gun, think about what you want it for. You know, set a budget and then kind of go from there. If it's something that you want to actually carry on you, then you might want to get something a little bit smaller, not super small. A lot of people are like, I want the smallest gun to carry.
Yeah.
Not the smartest idea, because that is going to be super hard to shoot and it's not going to be comfortable, and that might hinder your experience with guns because you don't shoot that gun very good. So do some research. And I always tell people before they buy something, you know, if you can, go to the gun range, rent a gun, try it out, and see if you like it first. Because I bought a gun that I'm like, oh, I'm going to like that. I got it. Felt good in my hand, but once I shot it, I did not like the way it shot. And it just kicked and didn't feel very good. So it's, you spend a little bit more extra money, but at least you know you're going to like the gun that you're going to get.
That, and you know it's going to be reliable too. So
yeah. So that's kind of my tangent and thing I want to bring up is it's hard to answer that question to people because it's like there's a lot of things to consider, you know, especially budget one and what you're going to use it for. Is
I think budget's the biggest thing when you're really looking, because
and it's like if you have a low budget, it's almost better to wait and save up and buy something better. Chris wanting to buy the PSA dagger over the Glock. I'm like,
the only reason I was doing that, I was looking at it. And I've watched, after you showed me that video, I watched probably 30 or 40 people on YouTube break it down, what they did to it, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And I was like, really? The biggest complaint I heard about that gun was the trigger. And I was like, okay, how much is a trigger? So I was looking them up, and it varied depending on the trigger. But the cheapest trigger setup I saw was like $50. And it was a name brand, quality brand. I was like, so you get this gun for $300, put a $50 trigger in it, and you're ready to go. And then later you watch more videos like people start changing the sights and things like that, or they don't like the frame of it and they go with a P80. But with everything going on with that in the world right now, it's like, do I really want to go down that road? And like, because I get picky on my colors. You see on my ARs, I've got a blue and red themed AR, and then I got my flat dark earth. So like, if I want flat dark earth, I'm going to go all out and could just get flat dark earth if I can. If I got to do a P80, I would have.
Yeah.
But the Glock, I think, was the better route in the end, if you think about it, because I'm not having to spend extra money on a frame, which was $120, and then hopefully ATF doesn't come knocking on my door because I bought it online, and then a trigger. And so like, I was like sitting there, okay, that's all like $500. It's as much as the Glock, so I might as well just get the Glock. I know it's quality. It's got a good trigger. And I've shot it and I liked it, so
yeah. I mean, there's nothing. If you have a PSA dagger, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's in his case, it was like, man, he was already thinking about originally buying the Glock.
Yeah.
Until he saw my video on the dagger and saw it in person. But you were also thinking about the Smith & Wesson version, which comes in flat dark earth, but ended up with the Glock. But I mean, if you like your gun and you know it's a budget gun and you like it, awesome, good for you, that's cool. But But yeah, don't let. I mean, if that's all you can afford is a lower end gun, awesome.
Yeah,
You'll love it. Learn, and you can always like the dagger, upgrade stuff over time. But if you have the money and are just buying guns to buy guns, maybe just think about getting quality over quantity. And yeah. By the way, what's your next gun, Hunter?
AR.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So he's got the pistol, the Glock 17. He's got the Mossberg shotgun. I just sold him with the combo barrel. And now to finish that trifecta, he needs the rifle, which is going to be the AR.
Yeah, I'm at the bifecta right now. I need to get to the trifecta.
Yep. And then after you hit that trifecta, then, whatever. Go buy a...
It gets crazy.
Go buy a 1911.
Yeah, that's my next gun.
Yeah. I think if you collect guns, you need to have a 1911 in your collection just because it's and in the 45 caliber. They make it in the lower calibers, but the
45 ACP.
Yeah, it was made as and made for 45 ACP. You got to get it in that. But yeah, I had one with the business for a while. It was awesome. I kicked myself for selling it, but I definitely want to get another one. But they're all out of stock.
Yeah, it's hard. And then I had a coworker actually buy one, and he was all gung-ho about it, and he bought the lower end of the 1911 for Springfield Armory, which is still good quality brand, but he just didn't like the finish. And he actually went up and bought the Garrison with it. So I was like, he should have bought my buddies.
Yep, I had one at a good price.
Yep. So.
But yeah, so are you going to, when you buy an AR, are you going to buy it complete, or are you going to build you one?
I haven't put any thought into it yet.
he's got to wait, but
I've got with disc golf on the mind right now.
What sucks is it's that disc golf, and now that spring's coming, we have all these house projects, yard work that's gonna.
I took a picture. I don't know if I sent. Did I send you the picture of our yards? And this was like 2 days ago. Maybe Keith will throw it on the B-roll. But
I don't think you sent it to me.
We already are
green,
well on our way to dark green. And this was 2 days ago, and we've just gotten almost 72 hours of pretty much straight rain. But it wasn't like heavy pounding rain. It was that nice deep soaking rain.
Yep.
And I looked at the yard today, and I was like, one, I could already mow right now. I mean, you couldn't because everything's so sopping wet. And two, how dark and filled in everything is, we're going to be mowing every 2-3 days for a while in spring.
The first sunny day, which I think is going to be Friday, man, that grass is going to just pop with all the rain that we've gotten.
And we got so lucky too, because we got a mix where it was rain and then, it snowed for a little bit, and then we had some sleet and stuff like that, but it never got below freezing. And so I went and checked everything that was starting to bud, and nothing looked like it got frostbit. So I don't think any of the trees that have started budding and stuff are going to lose that. So we're going to get this sun this weekend, and everything's just going to explode.
Yeah,
it's freaking snowing today.
Yeah, I know. I was sitting there driving. I was like, is that snow?
But nothing stuck. Nothing stuck, which is nice.
It's just a mix.
But I let the dogs out. I'm like, it's snowing. It was like 36 degrees out, but it's still annoying. What's today? End of March, and it's snowing. Which I guess a few years ago it was snowing on Easter. So
April.
As long as that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, last year we had a spring start off just like this. It was phenomenal, and then out of nowhere, hard freeze. All the flowers, everything fell off all the trees and stuff. It was like, damn.
Well, I'm just so glad that I don't have to paint the house this year or worry about that. That was my big undertaking. So
oh my gosh, he was so gung-ho about doing it himself.
Well, last year I was like, because it got to the point to where our house did need to be painted, and I could see, because in insurance, I look at houses and damage all day. So I'm walking around my house and seeing some wood rot. I'm like, all right, probably time to start painting. And there were areas where the caulk is worn out. I'm like, that's just going to get worse. So I'm like, all right. If I start on one side and then work my way around, just taking my time in my free time and vacation and stuff, I can get it knocked out. Day one, I finished helping you with something in your yard, and then I went out and we had 2 posts on our front porch, and I was taking the bottom trim off of it. And this was my first project, was going to be the post. So I got the trim off of there. One was fine, and then I got it off the second one, and it was just completely rotted out.
Literally, the trim on the bottom was just hiding the fact that
Everything was
the
rotted.
rot was like coming up. I mean,
Yeah, there was.
if you would have given it one more year, it'd have started creeping above it. But you know, the trim was probably what, 3 inches.
Yeah, I think it's 3 or 4 inches.
So it was. I mean, it was a lot of rot.
Yeah, basically. And luckily, these are non-structural posts, so I didn't have to worry about that.
And then it goes from that to he starts taking off.
Yeah, so underneath our front windows, the year before, I had 2 of our windows replaced that were the original wood builder grade. Our sprinkler, you could tell, was hitting it a lot over the years, and it was kind of rotting the frame of those 2 windows. So I knew there was going to be some rot damage to the trim after I replaced the windows. So I'm like, all right, so pulled these. I think they were like 1x6s underneath the windows. Those were rotted, so I pulled them off, expecting a little bit of rotted siding underneath there. Oh man, after I pulled those off, I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, this is going to be a much bigger project than I
originally thought.
So then this house was built just long enough ago to where house wrap wasn't code. So that basically helped stop the water and stuff from getting to the decking or the sheathing behind the siding. Well, since it wasn't code, it didn't have it on there. And so it started not only rotting out the siding, but the sheathing behind there. And I just like, God. I'm like, all right, maybe this is the worst part, because this is obviously where I knew the water damage was. So I went to the windows up top, took those off. I'm like, son of a bitch. And then everything snowballed. Like every one piece of trim, I thought, oh, I just got to replace this trim. Took it off, and I think I replaced almost every single piece of trim on the front of the house.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, to round it off, his deck starts to rot through.
Ugh.
He starts taking boards off. He's looking at it. All of the joists completely rotted through. You can tell that they'd already slapped some Band-Aids on it and tried to like sister
the joists.
Yep.
Yeah, sister mount the whatever to support it. So we had to slap a double Band-Aid on it and ended up resistering all these joists.
Right.
And tried to get it all cut and stuff. And
yeah, that was one of those. I knew I had to replace like 6 or 7 deck boards. I'm like, okay, I know we need a new deck. I want it to last because I just did the house paint and stuff like that. That was expensive. So I'm like, we have to do it because our dogs, the rotted section started eating through it. So there were these now giant holes in the decking. So took those off, and our deck was like sloping like this, but then also like this. So I'm like, all right, I can maybe deal with this. But then as soon as I pulled up the boards, basically probably at least from a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of the 2x8 joist under there, the top part was like just completely rotted out.
Chipped, rotted away.
So then and that was every single joist all the way across. So I had to go buy a crap ton of 2x8s, sister all of these, so I had something to nail to from the top, and
then had to try and be like hanging over the side. I'm sorry, I didn't talk in the mic there. He's hanging over the side. I'm trying to hold these 2x8s as tight up as close as I can to sister them, and he's having to like lean over, and use the nail gun to get it nailed up. And he's shaking trying to get it to go. I'm shaking trying to support the weight.
Well, yeah,
because it's like this huge deal.
I didn't want to take any more deck boards off than I needed to, and trying to fit a nail gun in between joists that are already there, and then you add in another one as a sister, trying to get the nail gun just right.
With all the other sisters that were already in there.
Yeah, it was what was supposed to take me one day. It took me an entire weekend and a lot more money.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm like, all right, we were going to replace it this year, but now I'm like, after that, I'm at least getting another year out of that freaking deck.
And luckily, he called the big trash pickup.
Yep.
Beforehand, because he really ended up needing it after all the stuff we had to strip away and cut down. And
see, Hazel's one of those dogs that isn't afraid to pop the door to see if it opens. Max will not, even if the door's cracked.
Yeah.
If it's not cracked enough for him to walk in, he won't walk in. He'll sit there and cry. Hazel's like, screw this, I'm walking in.
What's going on, guys?
So she just poked her head through the door. But yeah, so with the house, after I got all the rot done, I ended up paying somebody to do some of the siding because it was a little more involved and I couldn't find all of it. So ended up having somebody do the actual siding. I did a lot of the trim myself on the actual house. Most of the rot was on the front, which was the most difficult part. But ended up caulking everything on the front of my house, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to start painting, and then I'll go. The front's going to be the most difficult because it's 2-story, different trim colors, a bunch of windows. So I did some of the trim around the garage, and I also replaced all the jams around both garage doors, which was a pain in the ass. But I did that, got that all painted, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start at the peak and work my way down. I didn't want to use the sprayer because I didn't want to have to mask because I'm like, that's more work, more stuff. So I was going to brush and roll everything. Well, I get on a 2-story ladder at the very peak, and I'm up there. You want to, the higher you get, it feels really windy up there, and you're like, shit. Yep. So I'm trying to hold a bucket of paint, and then, I got a brush, and I'm going like this, and then I'm looking down, and I'm like, God damn, like, and I can only lean over so far. I'm like, from what I could tell from where I was, it looked like I got a decent amount. And then I'm like, all right, how am I going to get down? Because I got this bucket of paint with no handle. I got the paintbrush, and I got to figure out a way to go down this 2-story ladder from the very top. And I got down eventually, and then I looked up, and it was like this tiny little area that I did. It took me forever, and I'm like, screw this. This is going to take too long. So then I ended up hiring it out.
Well, it also probably didn't help that we're like, hey, let's go play disc golf. It's really nice that night.
Yeah. They were trying to get me to play disc golf. I'm like, I got to paint the house. And I just hired it out.
Made my wife happy, though, that she got to have some say in what the final color was.
Yep.
Keith had 4 or 5 paint samples up, and Jasmine walked up and went, that one. And sure enough.
Yep, our house was originally kind of like a grayish brown, so we wanted to keep the brown color, but there are
like a diarrhea brownish.
But there are a ton of shades of brown.
Yeah, there is.
And depending on the sunlight and the shade, it looks different. So trying to narrow one down sucked, but I think it looks all right.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
I forgot the name of it. It was like Sturdy Brown or something stupid like that. But yeah. I'm so glad this spring and summer I don't have to worry about either of those projects. Like I can enjoy my time, but something's gonna come up.
I already know. I gotta start looking at my deck, and I'm like not looking forward to it at all.
No, and it's luckily prices are coming down, but it's still expensive to replace. It's like God.
Because I don't know whoever did our deck. They for the framing of it, they doubled the 1x8s or whatnot, or 2x8s, whatever. They doubled all of them except for one side. And the one side, I could literally go up and go like this and watch the wood flex at all the cracks. And I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be fun.
Nope.
And I'm like, should I just do the already composite board so I don't have to worry about paint and stain? And it's like, I'm not looking forward to it.
Nope. Oh, and when I was working on my house, this guy would come over with a beer, be like, hey, you want to have a beer? I'm like, dude, I'm up here on a freaking 2-story ladder. You think I really need to have a beer?
and then his wife come down to start talking, and next thing you know, I'm not even saying anything. He's cracking his own beer.
Yeah, well, I'm like, at this point, yeah. But you'd be able, your wife would come over, you guys would be drinking with Marie, and I'm up there working, looking down at you guys like, damn,
that looks fun.
Well, I figured I put in my hours with you. I'm clocking out. Just because you're the owner of the business doesn't mean I'm not going to clock out and have fun.
I had him hold a couple boards so I can get them nailed.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
I had to do all the caulking by myself. He didn't help me with that. I'm out there.
You don't want me caulking. The mess it would have made.
I made a mess too. I went through, I can't tell you how many freaking rags and stuff, and luckily I was smart this time and used gloves. I could put on the nylon gloves, and otherwise it just gets all over your hands, and once it dries it stays on there forever. So
I made up for it with all the sod work I did.
Help me lay some sod.
Are you kidding me? I was cutting those corners damn near perfect.
And unfortunately my dogs have ruined some of the sod, so I gotta fix all that stuff.
But we had perfect fall for planting seed and growing sod. So I think the sod definitely took, and it's going to come back. It's going to fill itself in a little bit. And then we got so much germination. I think this year after we go through spring, everything's just going to be thick and lush. I mean, it looks thin now, but it always looks thin first thing in the spring.
There was a strip that we had to cut out separate because there was like probably 3 or 4 inches that didn't go to the house. And it's probably about, I don't know, a foot long or two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it is.
She ate the
There
whole
is literally
thing.
just that strip missing. So I'm pretty sure they ate it because they, in the new sod, for some reason, they like that to go on the new sod. And they, at least I know Hazel did it, the small one, dug a hole, probably a good foot deep by, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 inches wide. And usually when your dog digs a hole,
Imagine
there's
taking a
the
basketball
Yeah.
and just sinking that down on the ground.
Yeah.
That's what she took out.
there's leftover dirt because they're digging it out. There's going to be a dirt pile somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing. I don't know where the dirt or grass went. I'm pretty sure they ate it as they
Swallowing
were.
it whole.
I swear that's what my dogs do because they've got like 8 random holes throughout the whole yard. And I'm like, where's the leftover dirt?
It's like I can't even fill this because there's
Yeah.
no freaking dirt left.
Last year I went and filled my yard where they dug all the holes, and like not even 2 days later they dug everything out that I filled, and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are killing me.
You know, it's nice about this rain that we just got, even though we've got the pre-emergent and fertilizer down,
Mm-hmm.
that hole's so deep, you're going to be able to put enough soil in, and then you can either use like that easy seed that you used, or you
Yep.
can just buy whatever, like just one strip of sod. But even if you wanted to seed over that, there's so much dirt in between where any of that pre-emergent would be. You'll be able to grow there. You just got to figure out how to block the dogs off from getting
I still have a bunch of that macho mix that we got from Grass Pad last year that we can use, and then that sand field turf stuff that goes over top.
Yeah.
Use that, or just because there are several areas I might get like 1 or 2 pieces of sod and just do that. But I have a fence, like a 3-foot chicken wire fence that I thought would keep them both out.
Nope.
When I first did it, Max
I've seen Max do
Didn't jump.
360s over it.
Yeah. So he ended up jumping over it, but I'm like, I would always find her in it. I'm like, how the hell? I'm like, there's no way she's jumping over it. No, she was finding a way to go underneath the fence.
Here's the
Army
thing.
crawl.
And then she gets stuck in there, and I'm like, well, fucker, you got in there, figure your way out. And she just looked at me and couldn't figure out how to get back out, even though she got in there by
Yeah.
going underneath. She couldn't comprehend. I'm like, you suck.
Here's the thing. Before they got Hazel, and I love her to death, Max he wasn't running away. He wasn't digging. He just was kind of chilling. Hazel comes along. Holes in the yard everywhere. I mean, she's damn near got it. I keep pushing dirt under and trying to pack it with my foot, but she's by the shed.
Mm-hmm.
She's damn near got that thing low enough where she can slip under into our yard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just gonna be.
She...
Double trouble, I swear. Two
but
dogs.
He gets him in so much, and then I catch him doing stuff, and I'm like, Max, what are you doing? Like,
Yep.
she taught him bad
Bad
stuff.
habits.
Bad habits.
I think he got so well trained, and then with a new puppy, you have to work so hard with a new puppy again that he's like, well, why do I have to do this if she doesn't have to do it? Because
Right.
Max was only like, what, 6, 7 months at the time when you got her?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was still very much puppy himself, and he's like, well, if Hazel gets to do it, why
Why
can't I do it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and he went through his puppy phase where he literally had to chew on everything he put his mouth on, and
Yeah.
they still do. Like today, I found him because I was up here working, and then if it's really quiet, that means something bad's happening. So I ran downstairs real quick, and we had, those, when you get pictures printed off, they come in those like cheap
Yeah.
envelope thingies. Well, we have a stack of those sitting on our entertainment center with some photo albums. They've never touched it before. It's been sitting there for like a year now. And he had gotten one of the packs, ripped open the pack, and was chewing on the pictures.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the shit, dude?
I think our dogs, like probably the last 2 weeks, have figured out how to break out of their kennels. And they go through the top. So I had to go around and zip tie all the points where they connect so they can't break out. Because we literally one time came home and we heard them barking. We're like, okay, we got to let them out. They're down in the basement. Open up the basement. They were right there at the door. We're like, what?
How the fuck?
And then we go down there. Our Google Dot destroyed, 8 chewed up, like 4 or 5 pillows, 8 chewed up. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I do not want dogs
Two's
right now.
trouble for
Yeah.
sure. Well, because we just have the one, and
Yeah.
he doesn't chew on anything. He doesn't ever have accidents inside. Nothing.
I'm gonna
He is a little snippy sometimes, but other than that, I mean,
I'm going to send Hazel over there for about a week and teach him some bad habits.
Well, here's the thing: like when Keith first got Max, so Asher's 3, but at the time he was probably just a little bit over 2. And we didn't really even train him. He's just one of those dogs that if I'm outside, he wants to be with me, but he never leaves the front yard. And so when Keith got Max was like, well, Asher doesn't leave, so I'm just going to follow whatever Asher does. The second you add that third dog to the party and they get Hazel, all of a sudden they're out in the street and we're freaking have to like flag down cars because we're like, holy shit, the dogs are in the street. It's like, what the hell happened?
Yep. They're Hazel's super cute. But she
her
gives
little face.
I know she's a combination of our 2 older dogs that we lost.
Put some B-roll on for him to see.
Yeah, we did the one when we were talking about Marie where she had the piece of poop in her mouth and looked like a cigar. But yeah, so she's super cute, but she gives 0 fucks about anything. And but then she's like, yeah, I did that. But look how cute I am.
I get away with it because of how I look.
At least twice a day, I find her with Marie's socks or scarf or some piece of clothing of Marie's is in the living room. I don't know where it came from, and there's a couple holes in it because they're chewing on it. Yeah, I had to throw one of her socks away today, one of her purple fuzzy ones, because it was so holy. I'm like, you can't even wear this, so this is going in the trash.
Guess you got to buy new socks.
Yeah, it sucks. So yeah, freaking dogs.
Gotta love them.
I know, you do. Well, it's like I didn't get a chance to do any gun videos this week yet on YouTube. So I got some stuff in the pipeline. It's just trying to switching jobs right now, so trying to wrap up a bunch of stuff. So I might not get one out in time. I know this podcast will come out Friday morning. So if anything, I'll probably do it. I have a week in between jobs, so I'm going to try and get a bunch of stuff recorded in between there. Just because I'll have nothing else to do.
Put something in the chute while you're...
Yeah, so that way I have, some stuff built up and can, I like to try and do one a week. It's not always going to happen just because doing the podcast and doing one video a week, there's a lot that goes into a video.
Yeah.
Especially
not a lot that goes into it takes you a little bit to set up the podcast, but
yeah,
you're not bleeping out or splicing together clips or anything like that.
No, the podcast is super easy. It takes me, I don't know, 30 minutes to actually edit.
By time we're normally walking out of your garage after we shoot, you already have it edited, ready to go.
Yeah. Basically, I'll just have to do some minor tweaks to line it up the audio, throw in the intro and outro, and that's it. Maybe some B-roll if we have any. But other than that, throw it up to YouTube and or get the audio only out to Buzzsprout, and that goes out to Spotify and whatever. Whereas a video, you got to think about what you're going to do, kind of shoot all the video of what you're doing, and then the editing of all that, getting everything put together right, and then uploading it, coming up with the description, all these tags and everything you have to do, a thumbnail, and then getting it out there. There's so much involved. Even with a quick video, like I did that FN field trip of yours, 2-minute video, but still that took a couple hours to do because you got to get a couple different camera angles set up.
Lighting has to be good on every shot.
Lighting has to be good. You got to do the audio, get it all edited. Obviously I'm not going to do everything perfect, so I got to cut out stuff that I mess up on, and just doing all that, and then coming up with a thumbnail, designing, editing the thumbnail, and all that stuff. It just takes time. So my goal is one video a week, but
well, maybe we'll do a video on how to do sights on a Glock.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is I don't have the sight tool.
Well, we'll figure that out.
Because he was wanting me to put the sights on his, because he got the Triticon sights. But my wholesale cost for the Glock, just the rear sight tool is like $100 and something.
I found the whole set for $120.
I can get them for you for cheaper. You know that, right?
What? No, I'm talking about just the little...
He's talking about the
little jig.
The punch set.
The punch set and everything to take out the rear sight and do the front sight for the Glock.
Yeah.
He saw some dude, what'd you call it? Redneck
I saw him do a redneck way, and he used a punch, but they got like plastic duals, which are like plastic punches. And I watched, and I was like, man, that should work too. And then you won't scratch it or anything. And it looks pretty easy.
Then he said you just use a caliper gauge to...
Yeah, just set the depth.
So you can spend $120 and do it yourself. or you can go to Center Fire and have it done for
$30. But it just kills me to know that they're doing probably less than 5 minutes of work and they're getting $30 off.
Well, not to mention if you don't do that jig and you do like the plastic punch and everything, I've already got the nut driver for the front sight. So really, I'm spending $5 on a plastic punch, and that's it. And it will take me the same amount it would with the jig.
All right, so probably be looking out for a video on that. And then I think Keith and I and Chris are going to do like maybe a little, it might not even be really much of a video, but a little B-roll for anybody who's listening who's like, what are they talking about disc golf? What the hell is it? You can see what a throw is. And I'm sure a lot of people, when I first heard about Frisbee golf, I was thinking like, oh, you mean like they catch Frisbees in the backyard? Yeah. What do they do with like, no, these are like actual discs. You know, the pros can throw them 600 feet. So we might come out with a little video on that. I forgot to tell you, Chris, I played one of the goals was to play in 10 tournaments. I played my second one last weekend.
Yeah.
Horrible first round. My dad was caddying. And after the first round, I had to have a little chat with him.
Does your dad listen to this podcast?
No.
Okay, good. He is, sorry, I kind of found the right one. Nice guy, great guy. But he gets in your head.
And he gets in your guys' head, not mine.
He tells these jokes that I don't know what the hell he's talking about. It makes no sense. But I got to kind of do the fake laugh kind of a thing.
They're inside jokes with his personal good friends that he tells other people, and you're like, one, Dad, it stresses me out because I'm like, I know him because I've heard you guys say him a million times. They don't know him. Why the hell are you bringing this up?
Yeah.
And then, so anyways, he's on my bag trying to support me, and he had stayed up pretty late with some buddies the night before. So he woke up and was, not his...
He was hungover.
Yeah. And so anyways, he kept being like, you sure you want to throw this? Why do you want to throw this? And I'm like, Dad, why aren't you playing in the tournament then if you fucking know everything? So didn't shoot the greatest first round. Second round, I actually shot the third best round on I had the third best round on the course. So I went from, in my division, advanced division, 18 out of 22 after the first round to tied for 9th. So if I could have just strung together, that first round I hadn't gotten in my own head, let alone, and I don't want to blame it on my dad. I was the one throwing the shots. I was the one, I know my game. I shouldn't have been taking advice that I didn't need to be taking. So it's really on me, but I did let him get in my head a little bit, and if I could have strung those 2 rounds together, I would have at least top 5, if not top 3 finish.
Dang.
But the craziest thing was, and I'll send a picture to Keith so he can show you guys. On the first hole in the first round, I was kind of in some shit, and I had to go looking for a disc, and this was old farmland, I think, where they built this course, and I was walking through and I didn't see this old rusted ass barbed wire that had been bent over, scratched the shit out of the top of my leg.
Ugh.
And I didn't think anything of it because I was wearing black sweatpants, and I knew I got scratched, but I didn't really know until I got home and showered later and I saw the scratch. It was all raised and like red and swollen and crazy looking. And I was like, I don't know the last time I had a tetanus shot. So I had to go in. And I was at a new doctor, and I guess they didn't have my old stuff. They're like, we don't know, but you're giving you one. You're getting a booster. And so they gave me the booster shot, but it was crazy. I took the picture maybe 8 hours after it happened, and it already looked like it was extremely deep cut that had been healing for like 2 weeks. It was craziest look to it. So that was nice. That was fun, but I didn't get lockjaw, so good there.
Yeah, it's hard to remember when you get your tetanus shot, because I know the last time I got cut, he's like, oh, you're good on your tetanus, but that was now years ago, so it's like, crap, am I due for one now?
Yeah, so the booster is every 10 years, which seems crazy to me, but it's every 10 years. So he's like, yeah, a lot of people can't remember when the last time they got one is, but if you get one 6 years ago, you're not going to remember that. So
no, might as well just get another one.
Yeah,
screw it.
Just make it like the flu shot. Get it every year.
And it burned. I got both the COVID original vaccine and the first booster.
Yeah.
Didn't feel them going in. Hurt like a motherfucker the next day. This one, it legit felt like not fire, but just like it burned going in. I was like, that's so well, I wonder what the difference is that makes that.
I don't know.
That feeling.
I don't know. I don't do biology or chemistry.
Well, I asked my wife, and she's like, I don't know. I'm like, didn't you guys learn all about this stuff? She's like, yeah, but they don't explain to us why some hurt and why some don't.
I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah. Nuts.
So anyways.
But yeah, we talked a lot about the dagger versus Glock. Check out our video on that. If you want to buy the dagger, hey, it's an awesome gun. I just wanted to give him a bunch of crap and make him get the Glock because he was considering it anyway. But yeah, if you get the dagger, awesome, great gun, just like the Glock 19. And you can even buy just like the slide and or frame like you were saying.
Yeah.
So, but check out that video and some other stuff that we have. And if there's any videos that you want to see or even any guns that you want to see us make videos on, just let me know. I can see if I can get those. It's kind of hard to figure out what's going to be popular, what people want to see. Obviously, the newer guns, those are more popular. Like when the Garrison came out and I did that field trip on it, got a lot of views because that's a newer gun. But with some of the older stuff, it's if you do comparison videos, because people that are looking for guns, those tend to do well because, you know, when I look for stuff, I'm like, well, it's between these two things. So I'm going to do a versus, do this versus that. So the versus videos get some good stuff, but I don't know if there's anything particular you guys want to see a video on, even if it's not gun related, let me know. Did some microphone videos, might do a couple more since I got some new microphones, and I want to do a tour of our setup because when I'm watching a podcast, I like to see what equipment people use because one, it gives me ideas for our podcast, but it's just cool to see how people have things set up because you see one thing, but we see completely different.
And what we're looking at looks complicated, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Because we got two big lights here. We have
4 cameras right now.
Yeah, 4. We have 3 iPhone cameras, and then the main camera right here, which is the Sony. Obviously, we got all these accent lights around us, the Roadcaster, and then there's a ton of wires down here you guys can't see. So it's cool, and I like to see the way people get their studio set up, and it gives me ideas. And
this wide shot right here is on the Sony, and if you want to see a review of that,
I haven't done a review yet. It was just an unboxing.
Just the unboxing.
Review
coming soon.
Yeah, I'm still learning it because in that video, I'm like, I know nothing about cameras, so I want to learn it first. So I think I've gotten some things down. It's I don't know. I'm not a camera guy, so I got it on auto settings, and it just kind of does that. So sometimes it's in focus, sometimes it's not. I don't know. I got to figure that out. But I think right now we should be pretty good.
Little something else to look forward to as well. We all agreed. Keith's actually sitting about 6 inches above Chris and I, so Chris and I are putting phone books in our chairs for the next time, so we all look as tall as Keith for the video.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't even notice that. Hell yeah, I'm gonna keep you guys in those chairs. They don't even make phone books anymore. What do you guys? Actually, they do, but they're super small.
Yeah, we'll get the encyclopedias.
Hey, see if Tom Cruise has any.
Yeah, he's got 6 or 7 for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. Hell yeah.
And we'll do some adjusting too.
I am taller than these guys. If you didn't know that, I am the tallest.
If I sit up straight right now, I'm as tall as Keith with this lowered chair. Anyways, regardless, we're going to try some different setup things too. I sat closer to Keith this time just to see what it was like, but he had to turn and look back at me each time he wanted to look at me. So I think we got to figure out how to kind of get everything squared up. But
yeah, and that's tough because you see the podcast where the people are facing each other and the camera's kind of at the end of the table like this here.
Well, the only thing in the room is that podcast table. And they don't have a desk and TV and all this other stuff. We don't have the room to
we don't have a professional studio like they can afford.
I know. We'll figure out. It's always changing, and that's like why I like watching those. Hey, this is how I have our podcast or YouTube studio set up because it gives me ideas. So I learned to try and put these lights on these C-stands and get more light, and part of a couple communities that I've asked. And
that's the best part about these early videos too, is you kind of get to see. I mean,
how far
go back and watch the first podcast and look at the difference.
Yeah,
I mean, it's night and day.
Hunter and I were sitting out in the garage drinking one night. Imagine that. And I'm like, look at the difference between the first couple to where we're at now. Huge difference.
Massive.
And there's even one that Chris and I did a pilot episode that didn't air just because I was messing with my beard at the time too much. I might throw that out one time just to throw it out there.
Bonus episode.
Yeah, once we start having enough episodes. But yeah, just because the table was originally facing that way, so then and then it's just come a long way, and it's going to continue to change as we
evolve and
figure things out and get.
It's like the motto I like: first you improvise, you adapt, and then you overcome.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So yeah. So, and then if there's anything you guys like see or like that you want to use, anything equipment wise that we're using is actually in the description below, and some of the programs that we use for YouTube and podcast. So if you're looking to start your own, check out the description. There's a couple cool like Buzzsprout and Ecamm, which I'm using to record this on. Awesome platforms, make it super user friendly. And then all the equipment, Amazon links. Yes, they're affiliate links, so you help out the channel a little bit if you click on those. But
and if you have any questions about what we're using, Keith will be more than happy to nerd out and explain exactly what does. And
I was telling Hunter this. I'm like, obviously, I'm a gun guy. This is gun channel. But the more I've done research into setting up a studio, and especially the audio of the podcast, I have become a freaking microphone connoisseur. It's like I want to get all these different microphones and try them out. Like the pod mics that you two are using are freaking awesome. I just love the way those look. And then I'm like, I want the microphone that Joe Rogan does, the Shure SM7B. I'm like, it's super expensive. It's $400.
Yeah.
And I saw one on Facebook used at like half the cost. I'm like, shit, I have to buy it. So what I'm using is the Shure SM7B. It's the podcast mics. There's the microphone of microphones, basically.
It's the Mona Lisa of mics.
Yeah, it's been around since the 60s or something crazy like that. I didn't know that, but it's nice, but it's not as cool looking as these. There's so many cool looking microphones out there, like Shure that makes this. Yeah, Shure makes this microphone, but they also make these cool, like old school, like the 1950s looking microphones that are modernized, so they sound really cool. It's like, man, that'd be kind of cool to have, but yeah,
so
one of these days.
Maybe look out for another
tech review
channel.
Yeah, well, I'm deciding if I want to do another channel because with YouTube.
Between the gun stuff and the tech stuff, it's too much. You're mixing too much.
Because people that subscribe to the gun stuff don't really care about microphones and stuff like that, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So you really got to stay within your niche. So if I feel like if I do too much tech review,
takes away from
the subscribers guns. Might not like that and unsubscribe. So I'm like, well, if I do a second channel, but then you got to build that up again. So I'm still in.
Yeah, but you can guide people through your first channel.
Yeah. So that
all for another time, but
well, that's something. Yeah, we've gone a little long on this one. So, but hey, we have nothing else to do, right?
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys listening this week, and hopefully we'll get your brother on here soon, since we know we can do the 4-person.
Oh, can't wait to get Nate the Great on.
Yep, especially now he can talk about his new gun. So it's just with the 4-person, got to get the wide angle, and then got a lot of people talking, but it worked out. And Nate's kind of a quiet guy anyway.
Yeah, he's really quiet.
Yeah, he's quieter than you, and you're a quiet guy.
Yep. Get some whiskey in him. He might open up a little bit.
I'm going to have to make sure to bring my pry bar so I can get in his head and get him talking a little bit.
Start thinking of things to talk about Nate the Great.
Well, I know some topics that he can go off on, tangents on, so.
Yep. So, cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're listening to us on Spotify or anything, hit that follow button, and then hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. And we will see you guys on the next stream.
Bleep, 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 bleep. That's all, folks.
What the hell was that? That's not your sign off.
Have a good
one. He was trying to do the
you can't
what's
do
the
that.
Pig from? It doesn't matter. All right. Goodbye.
All right. See you guys.